Masechet Zevahim Daf Samach Zayin Amud Aleph, 10 lines down by the Gemara. Tana, but it says, "Amar Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yoshua, Hashem sheshachato basafon Hashem shlamim yochiyah." And Hashem, that was someone slaughtered in the north part of the courtyard, and he had intention for it to be slaughtered as a shlamim. Let it be approved, Shashina Shema Mu'alim, but that you can change the what it was supposed to be, and it's still Chayav Me'ilah. And therefore, you should also not be surprised in the case of an Allah bird, that if you change the designation, if you change it to Hatat, you're also still Chayav Me'ilah. Ma'al Rabbi Yoshua. And Yeshua answers him like this is like a missing text of the Mishnah, like background info. Rabbi Yeshua says no. It's not proof because why? In the case of Hashem, when you change it, you don't change the location. It can be slaughtered in the same spot. That's why there's no Melah. That's why there is Melah. But in the case of Allah, where the Kohen is changing the location and the designation, there should be no Me'ilah. Okay, fine, but if that's your mentality, that's your process, if you slaughter it in the south, I'll bring you proof that's not true. Because why? If I have a shlamim that was slaughtered, no, sham, that was slaughtered for the sake of shlamim, that watches Shina Shema Shina V'Kol Ma'ayin, but it also change location, change designation, and you're still Chayav Meila. Therefore, again, the Olah bird, after Shina Shema Shina V'Kol Ma'ayin, but you're Chayav even if you change the location by if you have it in mind for something else. Gemara says, Rabbi Yeshua says, no, it's not a knockout. Lo Mata V'Hashem Shina Shema Shina V'Kol V'Lo Shina Ma'azav. That's not proof because in the case of the Hashem, you're changing the place, you're changing the designation, but the process stays the same. To Ma'abala, that's not a logic won't carry over by an Allah, that it also changes the procedure that's done. Where it says, Marababa says, like Rav isn't bothered. How come Rabbi Eliezer didn't answer? Some Girsa has that Gemara specifically says he was quiet. So why was he quiet? The name of he could have answered back. Let him answer back. That in the case of an Hashem that's slaughtered in the south of the Chassid, for the sake of Shamim, for the sake of a different owner, Shishina Shemo, that's changing designation. Vishina Kumah changing the location. Vishina Masab also the procedures is changed, and you're still Chayab Mila. And therefore, the fact that he did not answer that to Rabbi Yeshua, must be over here that he realized that maybe Rabbi Yeshua had a different reason. And that was what? Rabbi Yeshua said, in the case of a bird Allah, that you slaughtered it and you served it on the lower part of the Mizbeach under the red line. And he used the Hatat procedure for the sake of Hatat. Once you did Milikah to one pipe, it's considered transformed into a Hatat bird. The Gemara says, okay, that's how we see that Yeshua's reasoning. That what? That's the case. If that's the case, before we explain it, we're gonna go through the process. In a second, that's the case. Why by Berhatat that if it was done above the red line using Olah procedures for the sake of an Olah, let him say that once he has done the Milikan one pipe, then it should be transferred into a Olah. The Gemara says, if you want to say that even he would hold that. You know, this is how the Mishnah was meant to be set up, and therefore my love kachi sounds like only this arrangement and not more. Meaning, the Rabbi Shua only argues in the previous case, not in this case. So seemingly, he would agree in this case where it's not an law. The Gemara says la kula Mishnah. This is the arrangement of the entire Mishnah, meaning that what, even though the Mishnah only says Rabbi Yeshua argued in the first case of the Olah, it also would apply by a hatat, and it would transfer that the hatat would turn into an Olah. Rashi says no. It's let's say that Rabbi Yeshua says that it transfers. It only applies when the Olah that was done but as a hatat for the sake of hatat. Since technically he's kasher by slaughtering one pipe, But Shira B'Shnesim over here, he cut through too. But Allah needs to. But in the case of an Allah where Melika is done below, Karen once he continues the Melika of one pipe, it turns into Hadat. In the case of a bird Hadat, given that I'm more Melika once you already said prior that in other that you could do Melika anywhere on the Mizbeach, why once he starts doing Melika, it should become Pasul immediately. When he cuts the second one, how do you transfer that into an olah? Meaning, once he does the first pipe, it should be pasul. And when he makes it into, and now you want to say that he cuts both, and therefore should be considered an olah, but if it's already pasul, and cutting the second pipe shouldn't do anything. Where it says, Gufa. Let's go back. مرة بعدها برافا ومريا بالجوع وعطى أوف شعصا لما طلق وعسى حتى تجمعات كيف مش ملاك بس ما نخرج مش عارف عسى حتى تعوف. We said prior, in the case of an Allah bird, below the line, for the sake of a hatat, done by like a hatat, once he does one pipe, milika, it's a hatat. The Gemara says, Tashma is being approved. Hatat lazu, va'ala lazu. If the birds, oh, this is a little, we need some background information. Background information over here is a woman who gave birth has to bring a lamb and a bird. The lamb is an olah, bird is a hatat. If she can't, I apologize. If she can't afford the lamb, she has to bring a pair of birds. One is the hatat, one is an olah. So in our case here, we're having Rashi has says that we have two women. One we're going to call Rachel, one we're going to call Leah. Both gave birth, both wanted to bring the birds. And Rachel brought her olah bird, and Leah brought her hatat bird. And Rachel needs a hatat, and Leah needs an olah. So what did they do? They went together and they bought birds. They bought a pair of birds, one for Rachel's hatat, one is Leah's olah. So what happened? Asa shteen no'al. Let's say by mistake the Kohen took both of them and did above the red line as olot. Mehsa kasher, mehsa pasul. Half is kasher, half is pasul. Meaning the olah, Leah's olah is kasher because that's what she needed, and Rachel's hatat is pasul because she needed an olah. She has to redo it. It was done as an olah and she needed a hatat. The Gemara says, if the guy did it on the bottom of both, mehsa kasher, mehsa pasul. Now vice versa. The Rachel will be kasher and Leah will be pasul. أحد المالا وأحد ماتا بس he did one and one شتم بس لو both have سور عشان يوم حطيت الكربلاء مالا ولا كربلاء both have pasul because you can assume that maybe each one was done on the opposite side. Rahel was done on the wrong side and the Az was on the wrong side. Therefore, we have to assume both were done incorrectly. As the Gemara says, "Nehina mid'olah karaval mata." Why are they both pasul in the last case? Maybe the olah was the one done below Tim Shach v'Tevah Hatat, and therefore, if it wasn't, at least let it be transformed into a bird hatat. And more damar b'Yeshua b'Ahat Gavra. When did he say that it could transform into one person? But in the case of a safek with two people, it does not transform. Where it says Tashma being proof. Hatat Allah ustuma mufareshet. It does say the two women gave the Kohen a hatat bird, an olah bird, and a pair of birds, and it's a pair of birds that's not specified, and a pair of birds that is specified. Okay, so let's go through this. Rahel had to bring another pair of birds. She needed, besides her regular hatat, she had to bring another pair, hatat and olah. Leah, besides her olah, also needed to bring another pair. Basically, Rahel needs two hatat and one olah, and Leah needs one hatat and two olot. So they bought three pairs together. The first one was pair number one is one hatat for Rachel, one Leah olah, like we said earlier. The second one, we didn't designate at all. The third pair is designated. One is hatat, one is an olah, but without saying who's. So what happens? Asa kulam al they did all the birds on top, thinking they were all olot. Me'asa kasher, me'asa pasul, half are good, half are not. Kulam mata did all them below. Me'asa kasher, me'asa pasul, vice versa. Again, half good, half not. Hazil mala v'hazil mata, half on top, half on bottom. And the keshera elas tuma. The only one that's kasher is the pair that was not designated, not specified. Right? So the ones that are specified might be pasul because maybe they were done incorrectly. But the unspecified, however, since it wasn't specified, the Kohen technically gets specified as olah or not. Okay. ومن بهن. Not only that, if they bought them in partnership, they each get considered credit for one each, and therefore they split the covenant between both of them. Now the Gemara says from here, now in the case of the specified birds is not kosher at all, Vamai, why should it be? Why should the specified cases be possible according to Yeshua? Even though yes, Allah can be brought below, let it be considered of a bird hatat, and it should be kosher. The Gemara says, maybe this Mishnah is not going to be Yeshua. We can't say that Tashma because I bring a proof from the next Mishnah, which shows that the whole thing is according to Yeshua. Ha'isha shamra hare alai kan im zachar. If a woman says that she'll bring a pair of birds to donate as a korban olav, she gives birth to a boy. Therefore, if she gives birth to a boy, she has to bring two birds. Why? One pair for what she promised, and one pair for what she is required for giving birth. Therefore, when he gives to the Kohen, three olives have to go above the line and one hatat below. And then let's say he says that you did two above, two on bottom, and you didn't talk to her about it. She has to redo that last pair as a ola. One more bird, rather. Assuming they were all the same type of bird. But if they're two different type of birds, let's say one pair was doves, the other one are pigeons. You have to bring two separate birds as olot. Says, if she specified what type of vow it was, she has to bring three more birds as a lot. That's assuming they were all the same bird. Because of the fact that since she forgot what type she promised, if she brings a pair of alot from the first set and a pair of alot from the second set, we're not sure which one she specified for which. Now she has to redo three of them. Now the Gemara says, if there are two different types involved, she has to bring four, because even that first one is a safek. Let's say she said, "Oh no, I want my vow to a certain korban," and she brought the two pairs of the Kohen who made the mistake, like we said earlier. Then what happens? She now has to bring five birds to count for the alot. If it was one type of bird, and if it was two type of birds, she has to bring six. Next case, Natanan the Kohen, but any doubt man, unless she gave him to come, but she doesn't know what she gave him. He went and offered, and there's nobody brought. So they bring four new birds, two for each type of alot, and two for each type of hatat. And one hatat extra and two alot extra, which means seven. Ben Azamer, Shnai hatat. Ben is just two hatat. But Mar Yeshua, this is why we're bringing it down. We're showing that Yeshua's opinion is in the Mishnah. This is what people say regarding a ram, that when he's alive, he has one voice. When it's dead, he has seven voices. Meaning, this is a famous concept that when a ram's alive, it only makes one sound when it makes a sound with his voice. But when it dies, it can make seven sounds because the horns, two horns are made into trumpets, the thigh bones are made into flutes, the skin is a drum, stomachs are made into a type of musical instrument, and the intestines are made like the strings of a harp. So when the woman specified her vow and she forgot which one she brought, she could have just done it by just bringing the birds, six birds, two for each. But now that she only brought four instead of six, she has to bring eight more. Meaning, sometimes it's less, but equals more. That's what happened here as well. Regardless of the fact that Yeshua seemingly chimed in over here, and it must be the whole Mishnah is according to him. But the problem is, this Mishnah does not show that you could transfer or transform. So how does that make sense according to Yeshua? When Yeshua said earlier that Allah is transforming, he's just saying that you're not chayav in me'ilah. But he didn't say you're chayav. Right? Rabbi Yeshua said that regarding me'ilah, the Allah is transforming the hatat, and therefore you're patur from me'ilah. But he agrees that it's not considered a hatat that it doesn't count as a hatat to be mekayem what the guy needs. It doesn't count as the guy's obligation. Therefore, there's no stira because it's not a complete transformation. It just means that it's not hayav me'ilah in that situation. No chayav and the men.